28 minutes, no, 27 minutes past 2, news at 2:30, BBC Radio Nottingham, also travel from there. But today, my guest at the moment is Wayne Rowe, just back from Haiti. I keep saying just back. How recently did you come back?
I came back, well, actually, I went to Haiti and then I went to Nicaragua straight afterwards. So I've just come back on Saturday from the whole trip.
My goodness, what did you see at Nicaragua?
Again, it was with Outreach International, some of the communities that they've been working in. It was quite pleasant to go there after Haiti, in as much as that because Outreach International has been working with them, that their lives have definitely been improved. So I was seeing people who had built their own homes, that were having access to electricity, things that we just take for granted, but for them has a real improvement on their lives.
Has there been much damage there because of the elements?
They have recently actually had a drought over their winter. They would normally receive rains, but the country is usually quite green. But when I went, it was very dry, and they've got the summer months just coming ahead. So that's a real problem for them now, the lack of water.
My goodness. Another thing, we just switch the tap on and take it for granted, don't we?
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of the most important life sources, isn't it? What else? What other photography do you do? Because I was looking at I know the answer to this. I was looking on your website. I mean, you do loads, don't you?
Well, I also do local photography, that's wedding and portrait photography, but I only take on certain amount of work in that because obviously I'm away abroad for so much of the time. But when I am back home, then I will do some wedding and portrait photography.
Do you find it hard to adapt? Because it's a little bit of a different discipline, isn't it?
It is, but with my wedding photography, it's more of a photojournalistic style. So rather than kind of setting up kind of group shots as such, I'd rather just be there clicking away. So just taking the events as they unfold. So that has some similarities, but yeah, what I'm taking is obviously very different.
Well, police were singing. We were talking about the fact that this isn't a sort of like an abrupt change in your life because it's in your blood, isn't it? Photography.
Well, yeah. My father was a photographer, and my grandfather was, although he dealt mainly with the darkroom processing side. But yes, it's kind of in my heritage as a bit of a photographer. So
you've never done any of that side of it, the film rather than the modern.
No, well, I do the post-processing, which is all done on a computer now, and I know that a lot of people say, oh no, it's not the same as going into a dark room, but they used to do that in the dark room. They used to manipulate the images in the dark room. It's just done on a computer now, so I just do it differently.
You can get away with more, though, can't you? Let's be honest. I just got some more images you've given me here. There's the one that you can see on the website of a demolished building next to Fidelity Provision Alimentation or Elementa. How do you cope with the language when you're over there? By the way,
the thing is that I kind of thought that they spoke French, and my French is as good as it's a secondary education French, yes. So it's very limited. But they don't actually speak French; they speak Creole, which is a version. So even my French was next to useless. But I did have a translator with me who helped, and it was interesting to hear the translator's story because he also had relatives that lost. He had a little sister who was killed in the earthquake. At the time of the earthquake, he was walking through the streets of Port-au-Prince, and the girl that he was walking with went into a building, strangely, when it happened, and the building just collapsed. And he was kind of very psychologically damaged, in as much as that when he was translating for me, if there was a bang at all in the room, or if somebody was knocking anyway, he would be extremely nervous and say, we need to get out of here. The earthquake's coming back again. He was very agitated, so the psychological damage is phenomenal.
There'll be a lot of people like that, won't there?
There will, yeah. He's not on his own. And even in that image that you've got there, you can see there's one building that is totally collapsed, but next to it is a building that appears to be intact.
Yes.
But if you look closely, there are actually cracks in there. But the people won't even go in those buildings because they're frightened, or the aftershocks that they had. The buildings have moved, and so they won't even go in those buildings now. They're fearful of entering into any building.
And the woman there is balancing her produce in a bag on her head, and I always think that's just amazing. I don't know why. I've seen someone do it in Nottingham, walking through the streets of Nottingham, but I just think to just walk along, what a great way to carry something if you've got the balance.
And it makes sense. It makes sense because it means that the hands are all totally free as well to do whatever they need to do. But no, we don't do that here.
And you've got some lovely pictures of children. A lovely little girl, but in front of desolation. Is that her school, or is that?
That was her school, yes, at Pétionville. Where, as you can see, it was actually a 3-storey building, and it's just totally and utterly collapsed. The sad thing about that location is that there are still children in there, and it's difficult to go to a site like that.
And a picture of hope here, a little lad drinking out of something, I don't know.
Yes, I took that image because he's drinking water. As I said earlier, that as I was meeting with numerous people, they were saying, please give me some water. And so what one of the first things that Outreach International did while I was there was to make sure that they bought some water just to get it into them immediately. Yeah. And they just loved it. So again, something we take so much for granted, just a small amount of water. They thought it was wonderful just to have that.
When are these pictures going to appear on your website? They will do in the end, will they?
Yeah, they will do. Obviously, my client needs to see them first, but hopefully soon I will get those on.
Right, well, thank you very much indeed for coming in, Wayne. Do you still live in Sutton in Ashfield?
I certainly do, yes.
Yeah. Said it with pride.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. And Wayne Rowe works for Outreach International. Those are the photographs. And what's your website address? Is it quite easy to find? Wayne Rowe Photography, isn't it?
Well, actually, I work for Visioning Images, which is my own organisation, which is www.visioningimages.com. If they do want to find out about Outreach International, who has contracted me to do work for them, their website is www.outreach-international.org.
Okay. Wayne, thanks very much for coming in. Thank you. Thanks very much for coming in. Thank you. Thanks very much for coming in. Thank you.